Hi there, welcome to JD's home. It's another Saturday and we've come again with another delicious Cameroonian food recipe. Today we are going to make egusi pudding. Egusi pudding is one of those Cameroonian delicacies that I don't think I have seen other African countries make. Correct me in the comment section if I'm wrong. For things like cocky corn chaff, moi moi or mai mai, I have seen other African countries make it, but with egusi pudding I haven't noticed. Maybe I should do a little research on that. Egusi pudding is not a meal that you walk into a Cameroonian home and they say, oh, today we are eating egusi pudding and miondo. It's mostly being served at occasions. So let's make some egusi pudding today. Ingredients: you need egusi, you need to pick it, ensure it's clean, and then grind it. You need your pepper, your salt, your seasoning cubes, your crayfish blended, okay? You also need some white pepper and some bush pepper. This is the stock from when I bought my fish. You also need some vegetable oil, some fish, and some meat. You can use meat, you can use fish, you can use whatever. You need some eggs, and the eggs are optional, but I like to put eggs in my egusi pudding. And even the oil is optional, but it gives your egusi this really nice shine that I like. Okay, so like I said from the beginning, you want to ensure that you remove all the peelings from the egusi before you blend it. Don't blend with dirt, with stones. There's nothing as bad as wanting to bite your egusi and you're getting stones. So like you guys know, I like to make it well in everything. That when I'm making puddings or when I'm using flour, I like to just make it well in the middle. It doesn't change anything, but that's just my process. So I go ahead to add in all my ingredients. I added my pepper, my bush pepper, my crayfish. I'm going to just add in everything, okay? Slowly, I'm going to mix and I'm going to taste at some point. And then we are going to tie our egusi pudding. What do you eat egusi pudding with? I like egusi pudding with a lot of things. Miondo, bobolo, dried plantain, cassava. Like, you can eat egusi pudding with almost anything. But what's your favorite combo when it comes to eating egusi pudding? So when I make egusi pudding or when I cook meals, my pepper is laughable. You guys, my family doesn't. I'm sure you guys are tired of hearing this, but my family doesn't eat pepper. So when I use pepper, I use very little, and I use it just because of the flavor. I think I added like a few drops more of pepper in this. I just want the flavor. So I'm training myself now to always cook with a little bit of pepper. And nobody complains, not the kids, not my husband. They don't even notice sometimes, but the food just has this rich flavor. And I always notice that, okay, there's this extra, they desire the food more, but they don't know. Nobody's gonna tell them. Nobody. So I go ahead to add my oil. I add my egg. I could use 2 eggs, but the egg I had left at home, I wanted to use it for my banana bread. Okay, so I had to use just 1. I was going to make banana bread and I wasn't ready to go to the market or to any store to buy eggs. So yeah, I had to ration it. So I used 1, but you could use 2, or you could even just make it without eggs. Nobody's gonna know, okay? Nobody's gonna know. So you go ahead and mix your egusi pudding. Now you want to be careful with the consistency. Don't put too much water and don't put too less water. If not, it's going to be very tight. So yeah, you just want to watch and see how my consistency or my texture is going to look like, and you are good to go. You're good to go. I did not do any measurements, you guys. I don't measure when I'm making African meals. I don't measure things. I just go with the flow. When my ancestors tell me to stop pouring, I stop pouring. But when I'm using flour, I measure. So yeah, I added some crayfish. You can never go wrong with crayfish. It's going to add some vibes to the food. It's going to give it more flavor and make it more delicious. So you can really not do any wrong with crayfish. So for this egusi pudding, I am going to use just dry fish. The last time I made egusi pudding, I used meat and fish, but we are trying to cut down on our intake of red meat. So that's why. And this is the pepper I added. I wish I added a little more again, because after the egusi pudding was done, I realized that the pepper was not really peppering. But yeah, that was the intention. The intention was not that it should be hot. The intention was just the flavor, and the flavor is actually there. So you guys see me adding water slowly as I keep on adjusting my ingredients. So when I add my ingredients, I taste. You saw me adding some salt. I taste it. I know for some people it's difficult for them to taste things like egusi pudding or cocoyam, but when I'm making kwakoko bible, I still taste it. It doesn't scratch, because once you're making a pudding, if the salt and the seasoning cubes, if it's not enough, that's the end of that meal. Like, you cannot fix it. There's no way you start untying all the bundles and infusing some salt or some seasoning in it. It's impossible. If you've watched this video till this point and you are not subscribed to this channel, please hit that subscribe button. Now, if you are already subscribed, you can subscribe again. If you're subscribed, it's going to be showing to you that subscribed with a D at the end. I'm emphasizing on this because I realized that there are people who, when you say they should subscribe, if they had subscribed before, they still click on that subscribe button and then instead unsubscribe. Don't do that. Don't do that. Subscribe to this channel, click on the notification bell so that every time I make a video, you'll be one of the first people to know. This is how I tie. I tie my kwakoko like this as well. I tie my egusi pudding like this as well. I've shown you guys a detailed video on how to tie kwakoko. If you don't know how to tie your egusi pudding like this, you can refer back to that video, and it's basically the same thing. So yeah, if you have watched till this point, I really appreciate you. Please subscribe to the channel and continue to watch and see how the egusi pudding turns out.